Boom! Welcome to LC Podcast number 64. Today with me, I have Grayden right above me. I have Jack over in a diagonal from me, and I have Peter right beside me. He's finally on the same level as me. It's a first in his life.
It's not great.
He stepped up to the occasion.
Normally he needs his small ladder to get up there.
I like how our comments, Grayden and my comment were like slightly like hinting towards it, and then not totally there. And then Jack's like, he needs his ladder.
You know, sometimes I call this a win because it's normally referred to as a step ladder, but this time we got the full ladder. So this is a win for me. Thanks for the W, boy.
That's a way to look at it.
We hope everyone is doing great this Sunday morning. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I'm kind of tired.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm two cups of coffee in.
Nice.
Dang.
Yeah. I was doing really good, and then I noticed in the glare on my back wall that there's some leftover residue from when I did that spit take the other night. So I'm like, oh, I thought I got all of it, but apparently not.
Come back to haunt you.
Oh, man.
Well,
there's some big shit that happened in the news this week. Like, big shit.
Jarrod, tell me. What big shit is going on?
Xbox is creating Microsoft is creating even more of a monopoly than they already had. They acquired ZeniMax and Bethesda this week, and that is just huge. That was kind of out of the blue too. It came out of, like, there was no rumors of it. They were in talks with getting Warner Bros, weren't they? As there or something.
A while ago, yeah.
But they had there's no talk about Bethesda and ZeniMax being acquired by them. And then all of a sudden it was just like, Bethesda, ZeniMax have been acquired by Microsoft and Xbox, and it's just like, well, like where does that even come from? Like, I know that they've been partners forever, right? Like, Bethesda and Xbox have always been working together, but now they are physically owned, and that actually can mean quite a few big things in regards to, like, quality. And I know we talked about this earlier in our Discord when they had announced that, just on our chat. And I think it's honestly the best thing that could have happened to Bethesda, because I feel like they're going to have more of a push for quality control now, because Microsoft won't necessarily take shit now that they own the company, you know what I mean? Especially with, you know, a lot of their game companies that they do own producing high quality games. Like, you have Obsidian who did Outer Worlds, that did really well, high quality game. I mean, Matt, I know that they pushed back the launch of Halo, but that's just like a quality assurance thing, right? Like, they're taking it back. They got feedback, and they're like, okay, we got to up our quality and our graphics and everything.
Sorry, I just have to interject here. When you said Obsidian, Jarrod, and then you said The Outer Worlds, was there another game that came to your mind first, but you just didn't want to put its foul name on your lips?
No, my brain imploded.
Gotcha.
If I'm being honest.
Because I know how you sometimes feel about that game.
I said I was gonna say Outlast, and I was like, no, that's not that game company. No, I don't mind Outer Worlds. I just, like, I didn't have a chance to really slowly play it, right? Because I played it for our review, so I basically went balls to the wall, like, as fast as I could through the game, so I could get a review out on it.
No, but I'm talking about the other Obsidian game.
Oh, New Vegas?
Yeah.
No, I like New Vegas as a game. I just don't like the Fallout community. When every Fallout group you go to, every conversation is either, is Fallout 3 the best game, or is Fallout New Vegas the best game? Obsidian's better, Bethesda's better. They just kind of yell at each other. They can't be like, oh, well, you know, New Vegas did good because they incorporated, like, ammo manufacturing, and, like, you could, you know, have multiple different kinds of ammo. And then Fallout 3 incorporated, to me, more of an RPG role-playing aspect behind it, because I liked a lot of their choices better. They had more diverse choices, I found. But I mean, in all fairness, Bethesda, when New Vegas was made, was literally like, here's, I think it was like it was like 12 months, I think it was. Here's 12 months, make this game, hurry up. So, but no, I don't mind it. Speaking of that, that's actually one of the possibilities that came up after the acquisition of Bethesda was people were asking Obsidian now, is there going to be a Fallout New Vegas 2? And I mean, I could see it happening. Now Microsoft...
Did you see what they said on Twitter? What Obsidian said?
They literally went like this.
Yeah.
Like it was like, so that means yes, most likely it's gonna happen, I'd say. And it was funny. You should have seen the responses to that, because a lot of the Fallout community. I was talking to Grayden and Jack. Maybe I was talking to all of you guys about this. Can't remember. But there's in one of the Fallout groups I was following. They basically said, one of the guys posted, he's like, how could they possibly do this? There's multiple endings to Fallout New Vegas. They couldn't possibly do a sequel to a game that has multiple endings. And I literally was sitting there. I like sat and I was like looking at Mass Effect on my shelf, and I was like, they can't possibly do a game with multiple endings. That's impossible. They can't possibly take in consideration choices throughout the game in their new game. I literally left a comment. I was like, man, someone should really tell BioWare that they can't do what they've been doing forever. But no, like it's definitely a likely possibility, I'd say. Now Bethesda would be almost like, if Microsoft's like, okay, Bethesda, Obsidian, we want you guys to come together to create another Fallout, but we want both of you guys working on it. I wouldn't see them not doing it.
If they do that, it won't be for like years and years, because Obsidian, they're a small team and they're busy. They're working on the second Outer Worlds DLC. They're working on Grounded. They're working on Avowed, that Skyrim-looking game. They got their hands full for the foreseeable future.
What do you think's gonna happen? Like, because do you think that? Because I know. Okay, so the nice thing is, like Elder Scrolls has been announced, but Avowed's been announced, and both those companies are owned by Microsoft, and both of them look very similar. There's got to be a gimmick behind Avowed that makes it different from Skyrim, because otherwise Microsoft's going to be dealing with two children yelling at each other about their game that they're developing, right? So
that's also the internet, though. That's the internet as a definition: two children arguing with each other.
That's true.
There you go.
I will say. And this took me by surprise. It shouldn't have, but it took me by surprise. It's been 25 years, and finally Bethesda's like, our next games are going to be on a new engine. They finally are fucking introducing a new game engine after 25 years of beating that horse until they could get every last drop out of it. And it's sad that it took Microsoft to do that. You know what I mean? Like, Bethesda's a big company. Like, they're not a small little gaming company. They're not an indie developer. It's like, you guys, come on. You guys could have done it before being acquired by Microsoft. I mean, now they have direct use of the engine of the console, so they can actually make an engine tailored to that console. But man, I didn't even think it was 25 years. That blew me away that it's been 25 years since they upgraded their engine. They've just been adjusting it as they go. But I guess I think it was Todd Howard made a comment about people's reception of the recent Fallout games and their graphics, and he made a comment that he's like, yeah, our next games in Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are going to be on our next engine, as well as the upcoming games past that. So I feel like what that tells me is that, although it wasn't publicly made aware, I think Bethesda and Microsoft have been in talks about the acquisition for quite some time now. I don't think it was as last minute as it came across when they dropped it.
Bethesda's been releasing a bunch of turds for a couple of years now. I think if they didn't get acquired, they were going to go under. I think that was the end of Bethesda.
Yeah. Starfield would have had to come out and been the absolute fucking best game of the year.
Like, I'm excited for the new engine. I'm sure it'll be good. But then at the same time, there's echoes of my mind. Todd Howard saying, in Fallout 76, we'll have 13 times the detail of Fallout 4.
Yeah, but again, I have faith in Microsoft keeping quality standards. Yeah. I don't think they'll allow him to say something like that if it's not actually true, because it looks bad on them now. He's there. They don't only represent Bethesda now; they represent Microsoft. And Microsoft, that's a big deal. They don't want a bad reputation. Like you have to mitigate, right? Like you want to have as many good reputation games as you can, and because you're going to have a few bad games that get released. It's inevitable. It's not every game is going to be amazing game that everyone wants it to be, right? So I feel like they're going to be held at a higher quality standard than they were on their own. Because on their own, they were just like, I don't know what they're doing. They're, like Grayden said, they were just kind of dropping turds for at least for like graphical, like game performance and graphic in those categories. I feel like they were dropping turds.
Even quality, like they're like story, like everything about the most recent games are just like, it's not interesting. There's graphical glitches. It's buggy.
Yeah,
very mediocre.
Yeah. Well, and it's no secret that they talked about how it's like Fallout 4. It was a good game for like gameplay wise. Like they updated some things on Fallout that needed to be updated, like combat and stuff like that. But they completely lost the RPG element when you're thrown into a game and you are immediately forced to be the good guy. Like, I mean, fuck, you look at Fallout 3, you could literally go running around and put slave collars on people, or you could go and be the hero of the wasteland. And same with New Vegas. You could go be an ass and be hated by all the quote-unquote good factions, or you could be the good guy and try to help in the best way you can. And in Fallout 4, it was like, even when you're the bad guy, people were like, man, this guy's a fucking good guy. So, like, there was really no way to... They lost that element of it, and that's where people had the most issue with Fallout 4. And then Fallout 76 was just... There's a lot of things that people had issues with. That game is all over the place.
I knew it was going to be dangerous the second Jack brought up Fallout. I was like, oh boy, here Jerry's about to take off here.
No, I'll pull it back in the other way. I was just gonna the main point behind this is because there's other companies that were acquired, like through ZeniMax, they had some companies they acquired, and the biggest thing I want to talk about is, do you guys think that, because there was a talk about them doing exclusive titles, because now people are pissed. Like there are some people that are like, oh great, now Microsoft and PC are the only ones that are gonna get these titles. And I mean, what do you guys think on that? Because I know there's Dishonored, the possible Dishonored 3 that could be coming out.
Dishonored is done. They ended Dishonored.
Oh, did they? Like
the franchise is done. They officially ended it with the last one. Well, Xbox is like Phil Spencer said, they're going to review the games on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
What they're doing, but what if I were Microsoft? If I just spent $7.5 billion, I would want to milk it for every single penny I could. So what I think they'll do is they'll do timed exclusivity. There'll be a year or two. We'll get Elder Scrolls 6, whatever. We'll get all these games exclusively on Xbox, and then they'll jump over to PlayStation. That's what I would do. That way you get all that revenue from Xbox and Game Pass, the few people that will buy the full price game. Then when it comes to Sony, you get all those people still paying $80.
I would say a minimum 2 years. I feel like within a year people will just be like, fuck whatever. Like 2 years will push them towards getting an Xbox. A year will be like, oh wait.
Well, it's interesting the timing of it all, because like I feel like it swayed people. Like, oh, PS5, Xbox, never mind.
Well, keep an eye on what Microsoft does release-wise with other consoles in the coming year, because, console bundles with, exclusive console art and stuff like that release with a game, that's a good way to push sales if somebody's sitting on the fence and it's like, oh, I really want to buy this one game, but I normally play on PlayStation, and it's like, you can get a bundle of this game with this unique console.
It is kind of funny that they acquired two companies, or basically they acquired companies that made 2 games for PlayStation exclusive, and I found that so funny. They'd be sitting there like Sony's probably like, oh fuck, no, don't do it.
Well, I don't know how weird they would be, because those contracts are like ironclad. I assume I assume there's no getting out of that sort of thing. But they've come out and said that those will also be timed exclusive. So however long those are exclusive, I bet that's what Microsoft will kind of do going forward.
Okay. So do you think that does that mean like Ghost of Tsushima will be on Microsoft at some point?
No, the 2 games, they're Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, because they looked good, like good games. So I mean, I am intrigued by them, but no, I just found it very interesting. I was like, man, that's a big buy with a lot of big name companies that are doing fairly well. Like Bethesda's probably one of the few in that grouping that is having a rough time right now. Like everyone else has produced good games.
Obviously, $7.5 billion is a lot of money, but like what really put it in perspective for me is that Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion. So like for almost double the price, like damn, that's.
Well, you'd almost have to go look at what each company's last year's net profit was, and then see how much the difference was. Like how much did they buy it for in comparison to net profit for each company, right? Because then that can also put it in perspective. Because like Star Wars, as big as it is still one IP, right? Whereas those are, I think it was like 8 distinct different companies.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm losing my voice. It's not a good time to lose my voice.
No.
Jack brought up Fallout and I started talking.
People are going to think you've got the COVID.
Well, I'm isolated with Charles back there.
Charles.
Charles the skeleton. Nice.
I had the most ghetto setup for that green screen on on Thursday. That stand there. That stand back there, I opened it up and then I like laid the green screen over top of it and then like pinned it to different sides around me. So I was like right up against my desk with the screen like right up behind me, trying to make sure that I cut out all the extra stuff, and it was funny. Did you find out, Peter, how much each of those?
No, I gave it a Google, but I was just looking for ZeniMax, like the main thing Microsoft bought. But I found like there was one figure for 500 million, but it didn't seem too reliable. So I don't know.
Yeah, that seems pretty low with how many companies and games they had under them. So I feel like that might be a little bit swayed. Might be almost looking exclusively at like something they do outside of those companies, not just including those companies. But yeah, I mean, talking about these exclusives, one of the other big conversations right now is talking about Game Pass versus AAA exclusives, because currently PlayStation has announced quite a few exclusives that look really good. Like they're really good. They look good. I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt, right? Because how many times have we had a game that looked good and then it turned out to be, right? So I always take it with a grain of salt, but they look really good. People are pushing for that. Like most forums that I go into are like, man, I think I'm going to go PlayStation because of exclusives. This was before the Bethesda ZeniMax acquisition. And then, but, you know, that's not really what Xbox is pushing right now. They're pushing Game Pass, because Game Pass, it's like we're having this title launch on Game Pass, this title's launching on Game Pass. Like what, because we kind of had a bit of a discussion in our Discord, but I think a lot of like we have different perspectives here. Like I know, Peter, you're more online with like, yeah, but Game Pass has so many games involved in it. I almost don't even care about the fact that there's an exclusive over here, right? Whereas I know I talked to Jack, and Jack's like, man, I really want to. I was thinking about getting a PlayStation 5 because the exclusives look good. Like it's a quality game I'm going to play. So it's just like, I kind of want to hear more of this perspective, because I feel like that's the driving force right now, is like that's determining whether someone gets a PlayStation or an Xbox. Is like, do you want the exclusives or do you want the volume of games?
Well, if we're being honest, the lesbian dinosaur game, Goodbye Volcano High, which is exclusive on PS5, I think is really going to be the Microsoft killer in this coming generation.
They have nothing competing with it. Nothing.
They really don't. Life is Strange. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what these lesbian dinosaurs are going to go through in high school. Probably.
Oh my god. What the fuck is it? What's it called?
Goodbye Volcano High. But yeah, I mean, I love Game Pass. Don't get me wrong. I love being able to use it. And it's been good for, you know, what I do use it for, but I just can't justify, you know, having access to all those games that I never play. You know, I work full time, and in my free time, I'm doing a lot of other stuff nowadays. Doing a lot of stuff with friends or with coworkers, or doing music stuff on the sides. Doing a lot of like D&D and Call of Cthulhu, which eats up a lot of my time nowadays. So when I do play games, I want it to really matter, and a lot of the time it's kind of just like, oh, not much going on here. And if I do, it's like we're just gonna play Dead by Daylight anyways. So if I'm gonna play a game, I want it to be something that I want to play and sink some time into. And I think PS5 might have just the better games to do that.
This game, what was that game that you guys got me to play? The anime game with the girl in the
Doki Doki?
Yes. This looks like a fucking dinosaur version of Doki Doki. That's all this makes me think of.
If that's what it turns out to be, that would be a pretty great twist. I'll be honest. That might actually sell some units.
This looks so fucking stupid.
Jarrod, the dinosaurs!
This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
People put so much time and effort into this dinosaur game, and you're just shitting all over it, Jarrod.
It looks like shit.
It's the
Game of the year.
It's the Google Chrome extended universe. You know how the dinosaur jumps over the cactuses when your internet's down?
Yeah, and I know that very well, actually.
The origin story.
Jesus. Oh, man.
The dinosaur's well qualified. We'll be able to learn about its high school experience.
My goodness. It's what games are meant to do. They're supposed to make you feel like you're somewhere that you're not, or do something that you don't think you could do. This is definitely that. I couldn't go to Dino High School.
Yeah.
I'm going to relate so hard to them.
So, Jack, if you did end up getting a PS5, do you think you just unsubscribe from Game Pass, kind of just disconnect from Xbox in general, and kind of just focus on that?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I'll keep running my Xbox One until it crashes and burns, basically, which could be any day. And then we'll see if it's worth upgrading at that point. The big thing is, if everyone else is getting an Xbox, then it's like I don't want to not play with everyone else. So,
yeah,
like,
see,
that's always a tough one.
That's my driving force for console. Is like, I don't know, like I'll play exclusives and that's great, but I mostly play games to play with friends. Like I'll play the odd exclusive here and there, but I'm kind of on the same line with Jack there, where it's like I don't have a lot of time to sink into a big game just on my own. And anytime I'm playing, we usually end up playing something like Dead by Daylight, or we'll go play another game together, like Call of Duty or something. So for me, it's like, I guess I could technically go either way on that standpoint, because both titles I just listed are cross-compatible, but that's not always the case, right? Like, they could come out with an Xbox game that you guys, like, say Halo, the new Halo comes out, and then you guys start playing Halo multiplayer again, and it's like, even though I'm not the best at Halo, nor necessarily the biggest fan of the franchise, just because I didn't start with it, right? I came into it much later. I still want to play with you guys. That's why I play games. I play to play with friends, not always for the exclusives. So I think I'll definitely go back to Xbox. Plus, I mean, I have so much of a library here that I've sunk money into Xbox, that at this point, for me to switch, like if I had stuck with PlayStation from PS3 onward, then I would have just stuck with PlayStation regardless. But the fact that I transitioned to Xbox and I have so much money sunk into my Xbox One, is just like, especially since it's fully backwards compatible and I can play every game I own without having an issue. Like if PS5 was fully backwards compatible, like PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and PS5, then I would possibly consider getting it. But the fact that it's only PS4 and PS5, I'm not as drawn to it. Personally, like, it doesn't even have to do with Game Pass. Like, Game Pass is nice, but I don't play enough games on Game Pass to say that I fully utilize Game Pass.
Jarrod, when you switched from PlayStation to Xbox, did you kind of feel that same conflict with like, oh, I have a library and stuff like that? Like,
yeah,
did you kind of struggle with the same dilemma?
It was a similar idea, because I really wanted to keep playing my games. But again, what kind of struck me is that PS4 originally wasn't, I believe it wasn't backwards compatible. It was an update they brought out that made it backwards compatible.
I think that's right.
So at the time, I just looked at it as I wasn't really losing anything, because I wouldn't be able to play it anyways. But I did run into the point where it's like, I have all these, like, I had quite a few trophies that I'd done, and I know like it's a slight difference from gamer score, but it was a similar idea. Like, I'd progressed through a lot more. I'd say if I combined my whatever the equivalency of a trophy percentage to a gamer score kind of is, I would have probably had like another, like if you had my gamer score, cut it in half, and then add that half to my gamer score, I'd have about that much most likely, just based on that kind of stuff. But it was a tough decision, but at the same time, you guys playing Xbox kind of again pulled me to that, because I played PlayStation 3 and it was great, but I could never play games with you guys, right? Like, I always was playing on my own. So I kind of went through that exclusiveness, and it's not as like glorified as people make it. Because again, the point of gaming for me is like I want to play with my friends. Like, games that I play, I want to play with my friends. If it's an exclusive occasionally, that's fine, because it's good to play on your own or have stuff to do when people aren't on. But to me, it was definitely way more worth it for me to be able to play with you guys than it was for me to stay exclusive with different games coming out. Like, even with Spider-Man, like, I almost broke and bought, because I played the original Spider-Mans on PS1 and they were fucking awesome. Like, it kind of was a very basic version of what the new one is. Like, the new one really reminded me of the style of the old ones, unlike the other Spider-Man games that have been released in between those two, or in between those generations. But yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I think for me, it's just I felt it was not the most fun playing games on your own, because it's like, I now had to make friends on PlayStation Online without having to like know people, and I did, like, I had some people that I played with pretty frequently, but that was after like years of playing online games and slowly getting to know different people, right? So for me, it was not more or less a no-brainer. It kind of was like, shit, well, I have these games, but it is what it is. But it was a no-brainer for me because I wanted to play games with everyone else, and I think that's where I still stand, is like, if I can play games with you guys, I don't really care if it's not the best games in the world being released on this console, as long as we have games that we're playing.
And for me, the thing with that is a selling feature if there are games that are worth playing with other people. I think all of us are well aware that the days of Saturday night Xbox parties, playing Halo custom games and, Overwatch, those are long since past. And it's only once in a blue moon that we get a multiplayer game that we all want to actively enjoy and can get like a large group of people playing. Dead by Daylight has been fun so far, but it's not quite the same like hype as Overwatch was. Overwatch wasn't the same hype as when we had 10 or more people playing Halo 3, back in the day.
Progressively.
Yeah. So in order for it to be worth it, in my case, I'd have to get a game probably of that Halo 3 caliber that we're all playing and all really enjoying. Because then the experience is worth it to me. But if not, then the single player experience is so much more rewarding, in my opinion. And I think PlayStation's probably doing it better than Microsoft is right now.
Does like time not factor in though, Jack? Like, I was looking the other day. I've been an Xbox Live member for 10 plus years. I'm not sure, but I know a couple of us are always in the 1% of achievements and stuff. So like we've sunk some time and some history.
I also kind of want to bring back to that, like you were talking, Jack, about how it's the exclusives are there. I also I feel like I'm unique out of the group in the fact that it's like I'm the only person who actually had to play only exclusives for a long period of time because I didn't have anyone to hang out with regards to gaming. Like, obviously I still hung out with you guys at school and everything like that, but I wasn't able to go home and be like, oh, we're going to play Call of Duty together, or Halo 3 in that case. I feel like it's just what we started with. It's nice to see something else. Like for you, you might be tired of playing the kind of almost less of a great multiplayer game, and you're more interested in that high-end exclusive. Whereas on my end, I've most of the time had to play the exclusives and not had the opportunity to do the multiplayer. So again, I feel like it's a big subjective thing in that case. Because to me, it's like I never played Halo 3 with you guys, so I don't even know what that experience is like. For me, Overwatch was I say Overwatch and Smite were our big ones that we played a lot together, and then Dead by Daylight's our current big one that we play together. To me, there's always going to be that game that we will play together. Like, we may not have these massive parties, but the friend groups also change as we get older, right? Like, we don't have necessarily 9 people that I would look to play Xbox with, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that sentiment. And that, I mean, I think that almost kind of proves my point in a lot of ways. You know, I don't need to have these multiplayer games that I enjoy playing with everyone to enjoy video games. Mm-hmm. When I bought my Xbox One, I bought it to play Far Cry 4 and Witcher 3. That was why I bought that Xbox. I was not concerned about playing Smite every night with you guys. I was not concerned. Overwatch wasn't even a thing when I bought my Xbox originally. So, you know, that's all well and good, but you know, I've got other things to kind of fill that whole, you know, we've got live connection where we're always hanging out. We try and see each other, you know, in our free time when we can. We play Dungeons and Dragons together, which has taken a big part of that multiplayer experience and replaced it in my mind and my heart, where I've got a bunch of my friends playing this awesome game that I really enjoy. And, you know, we're actually in the room together instead of, you know, being, you know, across the county in a way, which is nice. So to me, that's more important and more enjoyable than, you know, just playing a multiplayer game. If I want to play a video game, I'll probably just play a single player game. And remember, like the last console generation, I waited like 3 or 4 years before I actually bothered spending the money. So I might do something similar this time around. We'll just see.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
What I think I know the answer, but what about you, Peter? Because I know you have Cyberpunk pre-ordered. Are you gonna play? Are you gonna wait a bit, or are you gonna buy right away the new console?
Well, I'm gonna wait. My plan right now is to wait like a year and a half till they come out. Just because I don't need a new console right now, especially with Microsoft like guaranteeing all new titles will be released. Like for 2 years, I can play it on my Xbox.
I have a return question. Do you have a fear that your Xbox won't be able to launch 2077?
Well, yes, I've had nightmares about this. Yes,
because
I've had this game pre-ordered for like a year and a half. I really want to play it on day one. I won't lie to you. But I can. I don't know.
The reason I ask is I'm starting to get into some boat. My Xbox is starting to do that overheating thing where it's not overheating, but it's like it says it's overheating, so it shuts off. It hasn't been super consistent yet.
I'll go get ice packs if I have to.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the thing that I found is that my Xbox is even warm. Like, it's almost cold when it does it. Like, it's almost like it's a glitch hardware-wise more than it is an actual overheating issue, because I rarely my Xbox is rarely hot. Like, I have it in good airflow space, right? Like, it's not somewhere tucked in a tight area. So to me, it's like if my Xbox starts to go, I'll most likely do it, because I don't need to buy a whole bunch of new games right away, which is nice. I can still play all my other games with everyone, so it doesn't really change my current position. I will say though, it is a money hit because that is a fucking expensive console, but I don't know. I at this point I'm like, if it starts to die, I'll upgrade just so I can, you know, play games and have that option.
Because I still have my old Xbox One. If the X dies, I'm going back to the old one. Like I know, which is not ideal at all. But if I can delay it, if I can get to that year, I'm going to do everything I can.
Well, I almost guarantee you. I almost guarantee you it's going to be almost impossible to get an Xbox until probably next year, anyways. With the consoles being immediately, like, pre-order day one, all stores sold out of both. Now, PlayStation's this is interesting to me because I was talking to a couple of my friends who do marketing, and they they had they made a good few points, and I kind of countered a few things, but it was like PlayStation was outright a marketing thing. Like what they did essentially is they had consoles available for pre-order, because you don't just spawn things out of nowhere. Like they don't just go poof, we're gonna release more consoles, right? It's like they definitely had them. They wanted to look in demand. Like they wanted their console to appear to be like heavily in demand, which, not saying it's not. They'd still released enough pre-orders to make it be in demand. Man, Xbox was hilarious. Like one of my friends was trying to order it. They had such a volume of people going to these websites to order that they crashed every single retailer's website they were selling an Xbox on. Every single one, including Microsoft, who I feel like should have been the most prepared to like take that volume. But it's like, that is an absurd amount of money. Like, yes, okay, they probably did a similar idea where they were only going to show so many pre-orders but then push out more later after they sold out of those pre-orders. But I don't think they were necessarily expecting it to crash every single platform it was being sold on.
I mean, sure, the pre-orders, but at the end of the day, I think it's just going to be like that scene out of Futurama where you're trying to get the new phone. It's like, there any left? It's like, I don't know, let me check. And he reaches back, and there's literally hundreds of thousands of them. He's like, there's one left. And he gives it to you. It might be a bit of a delay if you wanted to buy one without pre-ordering day one, but I don't think it'll be that long.
I think you're looking into January. That's my thoughts. Like, I'm talking without it being still in demand. Like, I'm talking until you can actually walk in and be like, oh yeah, we have a few in stock right now, instead of being like, they bring in new stock and it's immediately sold out. Especially with Christmas time coming out, I feel like new consoles are always the hot topic for gifts for kids and everything. So I feel like I more mean that, Grayden. I more mean like, okay, you go into Best Buy and it's like, oh, can I buy this console?
No, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like, this isn't my first rodeo. This isn't my first console. The only time that's ever happened to me was the Nintendo Switch, where I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't pre-order. But every other console, it's been like...
The Switch you still can't find sometimes. The Switch, yeah. Nintendo's dumb. Nintendo's their own fucking monster.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because are you getting it on launch, Grayden?
Probably not right away. So, I don't know. Did you see, though, that Travis Scott already has a PS5? It's like, that is early. That is really early.
Why do people even care about Travis Scott?
I don't.
What has he done?
I don't know. I guess he, like, sings, he says words fast and plays video games.
What has Travis Scott done? Wow, that's a... Google suggested it. People are searching that.
What does he do?
Travis Scott.
Why is he important? Let's find out.
In relation with Kylie Jenner. That's what it is.
I mean, I thought other than that, maybe he had something that mattered.
Nah, probably not. Is that the Tiger guy, or is that a different dude?
Tiger guy?
Are you talking about Tiger King?
No. There was some dude, like some rapper, his like rap name was Tiger something, and he was dating a Kardashian, I think. I don't know. I don't. Huh?
I searched rapper Tiger, and Tiga came up.
Oh, that is the one, actually. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Tiga. The rapper called Tiger. It's Tiga.
I told you I don't care about this shit.
Oh man. On that note, is there any games, like, just kind of talking about these, like, time on the new consoles? Because so what we determined is that Peter's going to try to wait as long as he can, unless both his consoles implode. Jack's going to wait quite some time, most likely, and then Grayden, you'll probably get it within the year of it coming out.
Yeah, probably.
And then I'm probably on the same page as Grayden, because I have PC and I play PC games, but at the same time, I don't know. There's some games that will be coming out that I want to play, but if I have the access and budget, then I'll do it. But one thing I was going to ask is, like, I know, Peter, you're extraordinarily excited for 2077. And they've been releasing more and more about the game, right? Like, they've been releasing the gangs. They released a few screenshots and stuff like that. And what are your guys' opinion? Like, well, what is a game you guys are ultimately looking forward to? Like, what's your, like, of released or currently announced, what's your most anticipated game? And then what are you, like, about, I wanted to more talk about 2077 as well, as what are you excited about for that one? Because there's quite a bit in that game. I like how they said it's shorter than The Witcher by, like, literally maybe like 5 hours. So, because they literally said that people would play The Witcher, but a lot of people wouldn't finish it because it was so long. Which is interesting, because I thought that game was super fun. I didn't find it overly long. Like, it didn't feel like it took. I put a lot of hours into it, but it never felt that I was putting that many hours into it, I guess, is more what I'm going for. So, let's start with what is your guys' most anticipated game coming out in the next year, and I'd say other than 2077, Peter, just because we already know that that's your most anticipated game. So
I don't know any other games coming out. That's all. I'm tunnel visioned on that game. I don't know. I'd have to Google it.
For me,
I kind of hope that it's shit. I low-key hope that it's shit.
It's going to be Game of the Year. It's going to be Game of the Year.
All right. So aside from lesbian dinosaurs, I'm really looking forward to a game I haven't even played the sequel to. God of War looked so good that I'm still waiting to, like, play it on Grayden's PlayStation, or maybe play it on the new PlayStation 5. Who knows? But they just announced a teaser that God of War Ragnarok is potentially coming out in 2021, I think. So if that's the case,
I didn't think it'd be 2021.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last one released in, I think, late 2017 or 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 2018.
I didn't play the new one on the PlayStation 4, but I played the old ones. Like, I played all the God of Wars prior to that one, and they were super fun.
April 20th, 2018. So, you know, I guess it's with a big enough team.
Yeah, well, because, like, I imagine they'll use the same bones, right? Like, people like the game, obviously, so they're going to keep that and just expand off it. 3 years
you gotta imagine.
Isn't the word.
Yeah.
I'm looking through a list of games coming. Oh, Deathloop. Actually, Deathloop looks good. That's one I'm definitely interested in.
I was really interested in. I haven't looked at too much on it because I didn't really watch it. I just saw it was announced. But I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued by the Harry Potter RPG they're doing.
Yeah.
It looks zero trust in it.
I don't even know who's producing it. I just look it just looks. I'm interested in it because I'm interested to see how they go about it, because too many games were just focused around, like, the actual you are Harry and you have to do his every movie essentially. I'm kind of looking forward to, like, how they're gonna go, like, how in detail, how much of the world are they gonna let you explore? Like, are you gonna go through all your 5 years of Hogwarts, or?
It's a prequel to the Harry Potter series. It's before.
No, I know, but I'm asking just, like, what are you going to go through? Like, are you going through all 5 years of Hogwarts, like, of your own self? Like, I'm just talking about, like, what are they going to incorporate? Like, are they going to incorporate a Triwizard tournament in there? Are they going to incorporate, like how in depth are they going? Because to me, if it's a very superficial RPG that you're just like, ooh, I'm a wizard, and you go to class and you do magic, then it's not going to be great. But if they go in depth with it, that'd be one of the PlayStation titles that I hope that they release also on PC and not just PlayStation.
It's not exclusive. It's coming to Xbox.
Is it? No, I thought it was exclusive.
Yeah. No.
I thought it was exclusive as
I'm
well.
pretty sure it's exclusive.
Feel free to Google the game, and in the description you'll see it's being released on Xbox.
There you go.
You know what? I probably thought it was exclusive just purely because of it was at the show for PlayStation.
PlayStation announced it, yeah.
It's Bloom. Who's developed?
Avalanche is developing it. They did Just Cause, the Just Cause games, and other games.
Oh, look at that! It's coming to PCs and consoles 2021. Okay, you know what? I will now instill that in stone. Thank you, Peter, for bringing that to my attention. I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive. I'm excited for it. Like I actually think I will get it just because as long as it shows enough potential. I like the world and I liked playing the games. So I'm excited to see where it goes with it.
I hope they have some sexy wizard romances in there. I want to have a Hogwarts dating sim.
I'm looking at this company that developed it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the game, throughout the past, 10 plus years, they've only developed kids' Disney games. Like Disney Infinity, Cars 2, Toy Story 3.
Yeah, but but where do companies change, right? Like, it's like, look at when Doom was first announced. It was the first high-action shooter, and ID Software was super young. Yeah. No one developed a game like that, and then it was one of the most bought games when it released. So, to me, I don't always look at, unless it's a big company producing a title that they don't usually produce, I don't usually look at what they've necessarily produced prior to it.
BioWare never did multiplayer, and then Anthem came out, and that did great.
Yeah, but that's also I don't know. I'll give a company that hasn't had to tackle games outside of their norm a chance. It wouldn't be because there's been a few companies that have done that where they've tackled games outside their norm and they've done okay.
Well, here's the real question. Who's the publisher, and is there a parent company?
I read it. Portkey Games is the publisher. I don't know them.
Portkey. Portkey is a thing from Harry Potter.
It's dedicated to creating gaming experiences, all Harry Potter. So that Portkey is just Harry Potter stuff.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Do they own this studio? I imagine the studio is probably owned by maybe Warner Brothers or
Yeah, Avalanche Software is owned by Warner Brothers.
And so is Portkey.
So
there you go. So they don't have a bad track record in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to look a little more than just what they it's a team that's being put up to a task to do a different type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Because Warner Bros. They also they oversee the company that deals with all the Batmans, right? And you fucking loved the Batmans. I know you loved the Batmans that came out because you've mentioned it many times. So I don't think it's out of I don't know, if they're owned by a company that has done good, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm excited for it. I liked Harry Potter.
Makes you feel like Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, actually, I want to feel like anything but Harry Potter.
It makes you feel like you're one of Harry Potter's less important classmates.
Perfect. That's exactly the experience I'm going for.
I want the Ron Weasley experience.
I want to be Harry's stupid friend.
I want to be Seamus, the Irish kid that always blows himself up.
Oh man, no, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's good.
There's a couple.
But we'll see.
There's a couple of good ones coming out here. Senua 2. What was it? Yeah, that one. I think I got the title right.
Uh-huh.
That one, I love the first game. Super excited to play the second one.
It was nice because it was good, but it was shorter. So it's you enjoyed your experience, but it was really high quality for that experience that you were playing it.
Indie games.
I'm looking forward to Avowed. It looked like all we have is a cinematic of an arrow shooting across a field, but I'm still looking forward to it. If they did a great job with Outer Worlds, I'm interested to see what Obsidian's gonna do with it.
I love that all we know about the game is we got a cinematic where a guy shoots an arrow through time and space, and then there was a 5-second teaser of a guy holding a sword and casting a spell.
This shot heard around the world.
Yeah.
I'm still excited because of what Obsidian's done recently. I feel like it'll be a quality game.
Far Cry 6.
They need to they need to do something different with it, I think, for me.
Well, that's why they're bringing in the actor guy, I think.
The actor guy.
I don't know his name. He's, Breaking Bad man.
And he was He was the bad guy at the end of first season of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Who had the dark saber.
Yeah. I don't know. Far Cry is one of those games, almost like Borderlands, where they could just keep doing the same thing with a different setting, and I'd just be happy to play it. It's a mindless game.
I've got good news for you. That's what Ubisoft does best.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't seen the past 7 Assassin's Creed games.
Hey, I actually really enjoyed the history in the Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins.
The history changes, not much else changes. And I love the Assassin's Creed.
The gameplay is that. See, what you are with Far Cry is what I am with Assassin's Creed. I don't need much change in Assassin's Creed for it to still be fun to play for me.
I agree. I've played every game that's come out from Assassin's Creed.
I'm looking forward to Valhalla. That's another game I'm looking forward to.
You're looking forward to dying in battle?
Well, I'm looking forward to. I hope because they did a lot of like mythology and Odyssey, so I'm hoping they bring in some like Nordic mythology with Valhalla.
We'll see how it is.
It's the small things in life that I enjoy.
Demon Souls for the PS5.
Demon Souls, and this is coming from because I played the original one on PlayStation 3, and Demon Souls is literally Dark Souls with there's like a few slight twists, not much. It's been a long time since I played it. I'm staring at it on my shelf right now of my PlayStation 3 games, and it's just, to me, it always resembled, it was like a slightly smoother running Dark Souls.
So isn't that good? Because it's the original, like
it like I know they're remaking it, right? And I looked at some of the screenshots where they showed like the side by side characters from the old one and the new one, and they kind of are doing that whole thing. It looks good. I always found with Demon Souls, like I never got into Demon Souls, even though I beat it. I never got into it as much as I did Dark Souls. I enjoyed playing Dark Souls more than I enjoyed playing Demon Souls. So I never. Well,
it was the precursor to Dark Souls, really.
Yeah,
totally. It was them testing the waters in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. It is one of those fun games though, where it's like it's a super big challenge. Like that's what they go for. It's not supposed to be an easy game. It's supposed to make you actually adjust your play style based on the different enemies you're facing. So. I don't know. It'll be good. Because it's a remake, it'll be good. I'm not sure about if did they announce they're doing any new ones of the series, or they just announced the remake?
Not that I know.
Well, the only new one they're doing is that game with George R. R. Martin in it.
Oh, yeah.
With the new universe, new lore, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun. Because I was thinking the other day that I was gonna go back and play some Sekiro again, just because I beat it, but I didn't do it. I did it kind of what I did with Outer Worlds, where I really didn't explore. I just kind of raked through the story. But I don't know. I put it in the other day just to test it out a little bit because I beat BioShock Infinite. So I was gonna move on to Resident Evil 7, but I kind of want to, when I sit down to play Resident Evil 7, I want to like sit down for a little bit, not just like here's 30 minutes here or there to play the game. I want to sit down and like get into the game. So I was like, oh well, Sekiro is one of those things where it's like you can kind of just, thank you, that was the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it. Sekiro is one of those games where you can kind of just do and play for a little bit and then take a break, play for a little bit and take a break. That game's fun, but I just don't. I don't know. I still like Dark Souls better. It was a unique storyline, which was cool, and the bosses were pretty neat. How unique each boss was to each other, but I don't know. I found the game was very repetitive gameplay style. I found Dark Souls made you have to, like, if you picked a play style, it made fighting a certain bosses a real pain in the ass to fight. Whereas Sekiro, once you figured out the mechanics and were good at the counters and everything, you could pretty much handedly take down most of the bosses in that game.
Crash Bandicoot 4, another one coming out.
For me, that's not an $80 game. I'll get it on when it goes on sale or something. But
There was I forgot what crash it was, but it was like a PlayStation 1 crash, but it had a bunch of mini games in it. I fucking trying to remember which one it is, but that was my favorite crash game ever. I haven't played the newest one prior to that, but I'm with you, Peter. Like anytime I think of a crash game, I think of like a $50 game maybe. But I don't know. I think the next gen console, it's like now the consoles are bridging that gap between PC and console. Like a console is a good way to, like, if you don't want to do the, like Peter, you were kind of talking about the other day where it's like you're not a big fan. You'll basically you don't want to build your PC. You'll like buy a PC, you'll get your use out of it, and when it's no longer useful, you'll buy a new one that's pre-built and all that kind of stuff. I feel like consoles are a good way for people that are similar like that, where it's just like they don't want to know the intricacies, they don't care, they don't need to have this and that, they just want something that plays games. They don't care if it doesn't need to run anything else, it just needs to run games. So yeah. I think that this next generation of consoles, I think you're going to see quite a few new things that companies are doing, because they really did upgrade the hardware on these new consoles. Like when you compare it to the One X and the PlayStation 4, like both those consoles are child's play with regards to specs in comparison to their new generation.
Jarrod, speaking of the new consoles, I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh god.
Oh.
September 25th, you upset me, Jarrod. You upset me. You posted on Twitter, wow, look, the Xbox storage cards are possible. I'm so excited. They're going back to PlayStation memory cards. Yay! Not even looking that the price is $220, 300 Canadian for 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte! From the same company, I can get 1 terabyte for $60. $60! And that's not even the worst part yet. That's not even the worst part. Because I brought this up before, how I thought it was just bullshit Microsoft was providing this option. You guys are like, Peter, plug in your hard drive and just use that. New news has come out. You cannot use an external hard drive to play the new Xbox games. They have to be on this SSD or internal storage. That's it.
Peter,
so that you have to buy it.
Peter, you can get high-end SSD external drives.
No, it won't support it. Only internal. Xbox has clarified that.
Then their Seagate drives won't work because they're external.
Yeah, no, you can play all your regular Xbox games on it, but the new Xbox optimized games, you can't play those on it. You can't store those on it.
No, so you're saying no. So here's my question to you, because it's about processing, right? Because it's got to run through the hard drive and back to the console. That's why you can't play certain games at certain calibers, right? I understand that. If you get a high-end PC optimized hard drive for SSD, I guarantee you it'll work.
No, it's only Xbox ones that are supported.
I'm gonna look this up.
I researched because I saw that and I was like, are you kidding me, Xbox? I almost gave you a pass. No. Consumer me is like, that's BS, but business me is like, oh, that's excellent, Xbox.
It's amazing how often those two fight inside your head, isn't it?
Like, in a slightly different timeline, I could have gone extreme both ways. I could have either been the evil overlord, like looking out the window, being like, ha ha ha, or I could have been on the streets with signs. But now, this timeline, I'm in the middle.
Wait, so you said you could buy the same solid-state drive from the manufacturer. Would that be supported, or does it have to have the little Microsoft sticker on it?
So, Microsoft partnered with Seagate, and for the first 3 years, you could only buy this one. Ooh. The Microsoft-sponsored one for 300 Canadian dollars for 1 terabyte.
Did they tell you? My question to that is a big money grab. I agree. That is kind of frustrating. My question,
that's kind of a game changer, honestly. If you can't like use your own hard drive on the Xbox, which is really important, then like that kind of is another nail in the coffin, in my opinion.
Yeah, like
I've got 6 terabytes worth of games on my current Xbox.
So you can have all those games on it. They all look normal. It's just the new optimized games.
Okay, well, I just found a way around what your issue is. Because they say that you can store them on your hard drive. You just have to move them to your SSD when you want to play them, and that doesn't take long to move games. Moving games takes no time at all. Like it takes literally. I do it all the time on mine. But your argument made it sound that you could not play games. You could download a terabit of Xbox Series X games, and that is it. No, you can download as many as you want. You just have to move them to your internal storage when you want to use them.
That's dumb.
That is dumb.
But how else? Like I move games all the time on mine. Like I do it all the time.
Why?
Because games need updates, and you only have so much storage. And if their updates are too big, I have to move games off my internal drive.
You guys ever heard that old folk story about how there are two wolves fighting inside you? One of them is capitalist Peter, and the other one is socialist Peter. And whichever one you annoy the most wins.
That hits too close to home.
No, see, to me, it's not a big enough issue. Like I can still use my hard drive, and I can move games around. I don't give a shit.
You can still do it, but it's dumb.
Have to.
Exactly. Like imagine going like, I want to play this game today. Click. Sorry, you can't play that game. You have to move it over. It won't take very long, but what an annoyance! Just let me click the game and play the thing.
True. No, fair enough. No, it is an extra step, but it's not enough for me to be like, fuck you, Xbox. I'm done.
I can buy a Nintendo Switch Lite for the same price as a hard drive.
Well, yeah, but you can buy a Fisher Price toy for the same price as a Fisher Price toy. You don't really get anything different from them.
What? I don't understand that statement, Jarrod. I don't understand that statement.
That was highlighted by the fact that the audio didn't come through right away.
Yeah, that was perfect. You saw Peter freak out for a second.
I love
me about Fisher Price toys.
It hurts Peter on many levels, not just the Switch. Oh man, I'd have to do some more research into this because I feel like if you put in a high-end SSD drive to function with it, because all it would be then is they're doing a hard drive restriction, and usually you can get around that. Like it's
not for the first 3 years. This exclusive partnership, you can only buy this single one.
I don't know. We'll see.
Never mind. How many slots does an external drive how many can you put in the Xbox?
I'm pretty sure just one.
I think it's one at a time. One. That's where my comment that I was laughing, like regardless.
One at a time? You're buying more than one?
See, this is such a big deal to you, but I did it all the time with PlayStation. Like when I played that was my joke. That was my joke behind what I tweeted there, was I was laughing because it reminded me exactly what I had to do with the memory cards on PlayStation. I had to label them like this memory card had these things on it and this memory card had these things.
That's like a thumb drive though. You're not paying $300 per one.
Optimize, take full advantage.
It was just the price. It's just if it wasn't so expensive, whatever. I get it that those technical limitations, and that makes sense. I get it, but
so yeah, you're right. I mean, especially considering that hard drives themselves aren't that expensive.
And it's just what upset me was Jarrod was so excited. It was such a positive light about this news, and I was like, Jarrod, do you not see the negatives? Jarrod,
no. I understand the inconvenience. I just don't. It doesn't inconvenience me enough to cause an issue in my life. There's bigger issues in my life than, oh no, to play this game, I have to transfer it from my hard drive to my internal drive. Most of the time, I just want to point this out to you. Most of the time, SSDs are great, and that's why they tell you when you're on PC to run games off of SSD or run programs off SSD. When you run things off of the native hard drive, they will perform better every time. It does not matter. They will always perform better because the consoles the system is made to run off that drive. That's why it's even when you use external drives on PCs or you incorporate more hard drives on PCs, it still is more beneficial to have it on the native drive than it is on the other.
So you're saying SSDs are useless?
No, I'm saying SSDs are good, but always the top performance will come from a native drive.
Jarrod, I bet I'm gonna Google this and you're gonna be wrong. I Googled it and there's a lot of big words I don't understand. I'm gonna assume they support my point.
That's the biggest bullshit statement ever.
I like that. I'm going to use that one moving forward.
So I don't know. I feel like you're both more stupid for having entered into this conversation.
My biggest problem is the price. I don't understand why I can buy a terabyte from the same company that's $60 versus $300. That's my biggest problem.
No, I can understand that. To me, Seagate's really fucking that's something that almost looks bad on them as well. Like, it's like you guys are essentially saying that you made a hard drive that's not like you could probably get a higher end Seagate hard drive that performs better that is less money than that, because hard drives inherently, like that, when you think about buying things for we'll just use PCs because they're a simple example of this. When you're thinking of buying things for PCs, the two things that are usually super inexpensive are RAM and hard drives. Hard drives are, you can buy them a dime a dozen, doesn't fucking matter. RAM's the same. You can buy so much RAM and it costs like next to no money to upgrade RAM. So to me, the price is stupid. Like, it's unnecessary for them to ding you almost half the price of the entire console for an external hard drive. That is bullshit. I agree with that. But at the same time, that doesn't sway me from getting an Xbox One, a Series X. I'm not going to change what I'm pre-ordering. I'm not changing.
I know what I'm saying.
No, it's okay. So fair enough. Like, yes, it's an inconvenience. It's stupid. They shouldn't have done that. Like, it's something that was unnecessary of Microsoft to do, especially being a computer company that can easily have had a lot of their stuff work for the Xbox instead of having just one hard drive work. Like, they have their fingers dipped in a lot of different companies, especially in the computer market. So they could have made money either way. This is just like I think it's unnecessy. I'd be curious to see the specs. In all fairness, that wasn't my point of that tweet. My point of my tweet was to make fun of the fact that they were going back to memory cards.
I know, but you did. You really got me, Jarrod. You really got me, and I hate to admit it.
Did you like throw your phone up in the air and like fucking stomp around?
Well, I was like, price, and I was like, what? And I look at Jarrod, he doesn't even mention it. Did he gloss over it? Did he miss it? I do more and more research. I just get more and more aggravated on the bus.
On the bus.
To answer your question, I knew the price. I knew the price of it, but I was just like, I can't do anything about it. I just was laughing that it was literally like putting in a memory card and you could like put them on. It just reminded me of having to label my memory cards and being like, this is what's on this memory card. I also looked at an old PS2 memory card, and I saw one that said on it, it was like 500 megabits. I was like, I can't even put the simplest game on here, and we used to run fucking games off of these memory cards. Not mind like simple 8-bit games. But I will say, on that note of Peter getting fumingly mad, like just so mad, it's perfect to end the podcast on that note. We have reached our time limit. Thanks for joining us in this conversation.
I was waiting all podcasts to get that out. I had it up on my screen. I keep looking at it.
I can't wait for the return of the just blow on it and stick it back in joke.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Oh man, that's funny. Thanks for joining us this Sunday morning. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you guys have any other comments on these topics, by all means, leave a comment in the comment section below. This video will be going live, or this edited version of this video will be going live next Sunday, and just an hour after our podcast. And we will also be streaming Call of Cthulhu this Thursday at 7 p.m. General GMT, General Mountain Time. Is that it? Does that our time?
Yeah,
MST.
MST. Thank you. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you, Peter. Oh, Jack was
You
so
insulted Jack.
Jack was so mad about it. He left. But yeah, come join us for that, and then join our Discord. That's the best way to communicate with us and get updates. We are going through a bit of a transition period here from where we were before. We have a new restructure. We have our new LC Gaming Twitch. If you're not currently watching us on Twitch, we do have our LC Connection Gaming Twitch. We started over. Our other one had the weird thing where we got like 6,000 subscribers or followers, and Grayden thought he was popular or something, and he just wasn't.
I am popular.
It was all just a ruse.
I am one of the most successful streamers.
Also, stay tuned to check out our Live Connection main channel, not our gaming YouTube channel, but our main channel. We'll be having different kinds of videos going up there that aren't necessarily not related to gaming, but they're not just gameplay videos. They're going to be They're going to be more they're going to be more stuff outside of just play games for you guys. We'll see you guys next on Thursday. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.